The Lord be with you. Well, how are you guys doing on the other side of this screen? That is not a question that I typically ask, but it is something that I want to talk about today, our overall well-being. I specifically want to focus on this topic of vacations. Even though there were other things that I wanted to talk about this week, other things that I was planning on shooting a video for, it occurred to me that I have just gotten back from a vacation. So as you can see, I'm sporting my Space Mountain t-shirt, fresh out of the Magic Kingdom at Disney World in Florida. I also happen to have, and I don't know if you can see this or not on the screen that you're watching from, a little bit of remnant of my Floridian tan. And I recognize, being back here in the Midwest, that that is going to fade quickly. So if I want to talk about this topic of vacation, maybe it's better to do so at a time when it is still fresh on my mind and maybe still fresh on my skin as well. So, what does vacation mean to you? What kind of vacations do you typically take? What kind of vacations did you grow up with? I recognize we all have very different experiences of vacations. For instance, my wife, growing up, her family would take destination vacations. So they would go places like Disney World. They would see things. My family, not so much. Where I grew up, we would go to the same campground every summer. We would take a week, maybe it was 2 weeks, and we would camp every single summer in the same spot, and that was just how we did vacations. Because we live in a celebrity culture, I recognize our idea of what a vacation is, what a vacation can be very stretched. So I kind of remember back in the days when Justin Bieber was still dating Selena Gomez. I feel like I heard that once, just to surprise her, Justin Bieber rented an island and picked her up as a surprise in his private jet and flew her out to the island, and they just spent their time together there alone, just them on an island that he could afford to rent out for the weekend. I presume that is not your experience. That is not my experience as well. So what do we think of when we think of vacations? What kind of vacations do we do? I'm convinced that vacation has very little to do with the amount of money that you spend, although certainly vacations can be quite expensive depending on where you want to go, how long you're going to be gone, what you're going to be doing while you're there. But instead of the money that you spend, I think vacation is really more about changing your experience, changing your rhythm, getting out of sort of your day-to-day grind and shifting into a different gear for a period of time to get an experience of refreshment. So what I would like to remind us of in this video is just a couple of simple things to keep in mind if and when you get an opportunity to go on vacation this summer, if you haven't already. One of the things is that God himself doesn't go on a vacation. Not that he doesn't go on your vacation, but he doesn't take a vacation from you. I think oftentimes, because we think of vacations as getting away from our normal routines, sometimes we think, okay, I'm not going to do the things I typically would do. I'm not going to go into work. I'm not going to mow the lawn or take care of the house because I'm gone, right? I'm doing something else. So sometimes we think, I'm not going to worship either. I'm not there with my home community of faith where I would typically worship. Therefore, I'm not going to worship at all. Sometimes we may even think, I'm not going to think about God at all. And I think the fallacy in that is, again, God is always present with us. God always goes before us. God is Emmanuel. He's right there with us in all things. Actually, the psalmist says in Psalm 139, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. I think it's good for us to think about that God is always in every place that we are at. And therefore, even when we're on vacation, we can take a moment to appreciate God, to be open to his presence, to look for him, to pray to him, to spend a little bit of time in thought about him, to open ourselves to being blessed by him, as well as being a blessing to him, again, even while we're on vacation. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is the fact that your givings and your offerings do not go on vacation either. For whatever reason, we seem to have this mentality in the North American church that giving is something that I do when I am present. So when we go on vacation and we're not present, we don't give to the church. And then when we come back, it isn't like the week that we missed, we saved up that offering and that giving, and then we give that amount plus the amount of the week that we're there. Instead, we tend to think, no, I only give the same set amount every time I'm there. And when I'm not there, it doesn't accumulate, it doesn't get stored up somewhere, it's just gone. And I think there is a travesty in that thinking. I know generations before us, this isn't the way that we thought about the church. And I am not saying this to guilt anybody. I'm not even thinking specifically about Zion, my home community. For anybody who's watching this, I don't care what faith community you're in, if you have made a commitment to a body of believers, to an assembly, then that commitment probably included finances. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it included finances. You have made a commitment to God to be a cheerful giver. You have probably made some kind of pledge to your church, whether it's annual or whether it's monthly, that you are going to contribute a certain amount based upon first fruits and those kinds of things. And then we're accountable to give. We're accountable to be faithful in that. I have done other videos about why we give and what an offering actually is, so I'm not going to belabor that point. Just to say, don't slip into the mindset that you go on vacation and therefore your offering goes on vacation and you aren't responsible to supporting your community of faith while you're gone. It's a very different age. There's lots of different ways to give. Even if you're not just saving up the money and giving it when you come back, there's online methods, there's direct withdrawal methods. So please investigate how you can continue to be a blessing and to support your community even while you go on vacation. So interestingly, vacation is not biblical in and of itself. There is nothing in the ancient Near Eastern customs where people would take these regularly scheduled vacations. The one thing that you do have in the Bible is regular patterns of rest. So even in the creation account, right, we get this 6+1 pattern. We're told 6 days you shall work and you shall labor, but on the seventh day it belongs to the Lord, and on that day you shall rest. Even if you aren't someone who can take an extended vacation this summer, whether that's getting away for a couple of weeks or 1 week, I still encourage you to find some regular times to rest, to get out of the habit of what you're normally doing, and to appreciate things, enjoy things. Stop feeling like you have to be the one to create. You know, one of the great things I think about rest and about vacation is reminding yourself the world doesn't depend upon you. When you are stuck in this regular pattern of work, where you work and you overwork every single day, you start to think things do depend upon you. People depend upon you. Maybe the world system depends upon you, but it doesn't. We aren't that big. We aren't God. Therefore, rest and relaxation and vacation can be a way to rest. It doesn't have to be an expensive thing either. Some people do staycations. Some people just get away for the day or a weekend. Some people might even stay home and just decide, I'm going to focus on a different activity or a different relaxation technique for the day. If you can do that, great. The only other thing I'm going to draw your attention to is try to remember that there are people who can't get away for any reason. I'm going to call this kind of the working class poorer scenario. The people who really do, they need to work every day. They need to stay healthy because they need that paycheck week by week in order to survive. And even survival is kind of, they're barely treading water. They're barely keeping their head above water. So maybe look around and see, are there any of those people in your community, any of those people in your spheres of influence who you can maybe bless? There's lots of creative ways you could do this. Maybe if it's a family with young kids and therefore they're always working, they're always taking care of the kids, maybe you just say for one night, hey, we would love to babysit your kids so that you, husband and wife, can get out and just spend an evening together alone. Maybe it's renting a hotel room, preferably a hotel with a pool in it, and saying, hey, we've gotten a night for you and for your family. Maybe we've gotten a weekend for you and your family. Just go, take the whole family with you. At least change locations, shift gears, enjoy some time away. Whatever it is, I think it's incredible for us to think outside of ourselves and to remember everybody needs rest. Everybody needs a little bit different rhythm. And we have the opportunities to bless people in different ways. So I hope this summer you have an opportunity to be blessed and to be a blessing to others. I hope that you have opportunities to rest. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that God is giving you what you need day by day to get through these strange times we live in with high gas prices and canceled flights and unpredictable weather. I hope you're doing well. And until the next time we see each other, may the peace of God be with you. Amen.